Today is the day we are going to get started on our playroom with another episode of an extreme home declutter. So follow along with me as we go ahead and get started. One of my favorite times to declutter, especially my kids' bedrooms or our playrooms, is when they haven't cleaned up their mess. That is an easier time to declutter because then I'm not having to pull everything out to actually take a look at it. A lot of it is already out for me. So I usually, a lot of times, if I know I'm gonna declutter or have a day like this, I just tell them it's okay. You don't need to clean up your play toys. You don't need to clean up the playroom. Just leave it out because I'm going to go through all of it. And usually that works out really well because it saves me a little bit of time as well. But we're going to go ahead. Sometimes it's hard to know where to get started, but I would think while my kids are not here, I'm going to be in and out a lot today. And I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and get started on toys first, because that way when my kids get home, I will have already hopefully gone through all of the toys for the most part, and we'll be able to go ahead and put them away and put them wherever it is that I need them to go. Because if not, does anybody else's kids have trouble with wanting to sneak things back out of the pile to keep that they know that they don't ever play with anymore just because they don't like the idea of getting rid of it? So that definitely creates more conversations that I can have with them of why we need to, but sometimes it's just easier to not have to worry about that. So I think that's what I'm going to do first, is go ahead and get started with their toys, which can be a little overwhelming, but let's go ahead and get started. If you are new to this channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I am so grateful you have joined me today as we are decluttering this playroom. I will also put a playlist at the end of this video, as well as down in the description, that is a declutter with me or declutter playlist that you are welcome to go ahead and watch. Just put these episodes on and we can declutter together. You can have them playing in the background. But as we get started, I know I mentioned that this is my favorite time to declutter, and that is because it gives me a lot of good information as well. It shows me what the kids are actually playing with. If it is out of the toy bin, if it is on the table, on the floor, that means they've been playing with it. So it allows me to see that the things that they currently don't really care to reach for are still in the toy bin as well. So I use that information too, plus, of course, what I've seen them play with to go ahead and get started decluttering. Y'all, the number of items that I declutter from this room will shock you. So wait till the end and see how many that we end up with. Before I get started on their toys, I kind of want to point out what I was talking about earlier. If you'll notice, this baby looks familiar. That's because I decluttered her from the bedroom upstairs in one of our recent videos, and they snuck her back out. And then another one, these horses right here, back in, I think it was the spring when we were about to do our big neighborhood yard sale, I had tried to get rid of these horses. There's 2 of them, and they snuck those back out too. So if I don't get my declutter or donate piles out of the house before they get home, then a lot of times they tend to go back through and sneak stuff back out. Now, occasionally I will say, once I've decluttered, I'm always afraid I'm gonna find something or declutter something that they truly do care about. They just don't maybe play with as often. And so sometimes I let them choose one thing from the decluttered pile. And at this time, that was, I think, maybe what this one was. But that's not very often because, again, that starts kind of going into having to discuss. And a lot of times when I'm doing these big declutter days, my mind is already fried with decision making. So I usually end up giving in. And so it's just best not to let them do that. So we'll go ahead and get started on this toy chest next. Normally when I have a huge declutter day like this and I end up decluttering a whole lot of stuff, it actually creates a whole lot of extra space, and it reorganizes their items, and it makes it easier for them to also organize their own stuff and put stuff away, because it creates homes for those items. So they don't really have to think about it. They can just know where it goes and put it away. But I also have noticed one major thing is that my kids play so much better in a decluttered space than they do with all the toys that they could ever imagine. So one of the things that I do like to try to teach them is that we have loved the toys that we have enjoyed. Some of them you had a season where you really truly had wonderful memories with them, but to make and create new memories with new toys, we need to create that space. So that's one of the things that I do try to teach them as I go. But a lot of times it looks worse way before it looks better, and this is one of those times. In the middle of the declutter, this is what it looks like. Chaos. And why it feels so overwhelming when we try to declutter. When I start feeling overwhelmed like this, sometimes it is very important to plan ahead little breaks for yourself. So a lot of times for me, one of the things that helps me the most is kind of pausing, taking a 5-minute break, whether that's just to go get a drink or maybe sit on the couch for a couple minutes, or even go for a short walk outside. Those are things that definitely are helpful because it kind of clears the mind, it resets you, you're recharged for just a moment, and then you're ready to get back in and dive back in. Okay, so this is what I have so far, and I definitely need to go through a little more. But normally when I get to the bottom of the bin, I tend to just rummage through really quickly and pull out items that I know are like sets that go with other stuff, and try to just kind of fumble through it. Because a lot of times once you get down to here, it's often like those freebie toys or just little knickknacks that you don't really need anymore. So I'm going to go through this one more time and try to pull out, again, they're just last minute random items that go with other stuff. But then I will take all of this and just dump it in a trash bag, because I don't think that, this is one of those things, it's okay to just let it go instead of trying to donate it. I don't really feel like anybody else would, I don't know, enjoy going through it. I mean, I guess put down in the comments what you guys typically do. I don't really know if a donation center would want a bunch of knickknacks, but let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. And other than that, I will just kind of dump these into a trash bag and go from there. Right here, this is everything that I have that so far I'm keeping, which looks like a large pile. So I plan to go back through it because I want to weed down some of the stuffed animals. We don't need this many stuffed animals. And once I bring all of this stuff upstairs, it's really going to reclutter the room that I just decluttered upstairs. And my goal is to not do that. So again, if you're new to this channel, I've mentioned multiple times in our past videos that I'm really hoping to take this room back and not let it be a downstairs playroom anymore. I kind of want it to be what it's meant to be, which is a beautiful sunroom. And maybe have a couple toys in here just for fun, but for the most part, not be a playroom anymore. So all of this, everything that you see in here will have to go upstairs into the upstairs playroom, and hopefully we can get it to fit without looking recluttered. So that's the goal, is to declutter as much as I can. But this whole pile right here, which is pretty large and pretty hefty, is the donate pile / sell and get rid of pile. And so I'm going to go back through these stuffed animals here in a moment once I finish this first. We know that when we're decluttering, it is not a one and done deal. It is one of those things that I can declutter this entire playroom and then a month from now have to go back through it again. But my goal for today is one of those huge, deep declutter days. And let me tell you, it is after the fact, and it felt so good and it feels so good to have that room completely clutter free. It is a space that we fully enjoy now. But again, knowing that I have 4 kids, there's 6 of us that live here, and we're all constantly bringing stuff into the house. So it's something that I'm going to have to take time in the future to go back through and declutter again. But for today, it's one of those where you're proud of yourself for actually accomplishing it and getting the big declutter done. I think, this is my thoughts, is I think I'm gonna get rid of this blue table. The blue table, they loved playing with it when they were younger. One of my daughters, I think, is getting a little too big for it. The other one, she'll sit and play at it sometimes, but she does just as well sitting and playing other places. I haven't decided yet, so if you still see it here, then you'll know that I decided to keep it. But I think what I'm gonna do is I may even put it in the garage for a little bit just to see how they do without it, instead of moving it upstairs or keeping it in here, which kind of defeats the purpose of taking this room back. I think I might put it in the garage just to see how they do without it, and may end up deciding to go ahead and get rid of it, because what happens is it ends up just being kind of a catch-all, a clutter holder. It doesn't actually end up getting to be sat at to do arts and crafts or color or anything, which is what I intended for it to be. And again, my one daughter will like set up her little people world, little toys and stuff, and she'll sit there and play with it. But I think she'd be just as happy sitting on the floor. I don't think she minds sitting on the floor doing it too, because I've seen her do both. So that's my thoughts. We'll see what ends up happening though. Now that I've gone through this toy bin right here, this is everything that I plan to get rid of, but there are a few things like down here. I plan to go through these items right here because they're all kind of like little pet carriers type things, or little bags, or like that's a little barn, and go through stuff like that to decide which ones we're going to keep or get rid of. But this is all stuff right here that I am planning to get rid of or sell or donate. And there are a couple of things in here that I want to go through, and they actually belong in different areas of the house. So like this is dress up clothes right here. I'm going to take those upstairs and put them in my daughter's room. And then these right here are my boys' toys, or things that they typically play with. And those actually go upstairs in the upstairs playroom, which all of this will anyway, but I know that those are going right now. So, and they usually stay up there before we were to start all of this anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and take time to move the items that I know go somewhere else. And like the blankets, those go upstairs as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take time to put everything in the areas that I know that it's supposed to go, because I'm having a hard time walking in this room. There's so much stuff on the floor that I just need to kind of clear out a little bit of space so that I am able to move and go through other areas of the playroom. So I'm going to take the time to put those away. That way we clear up a little bit of that space and we can keep going. definitely feels so much better. I can actually walk around a little bit. I kept tripping on everything, stepping on toys, and I don't want to do that because I don't want to break the ones that are actually, still good. So this is feeling a lot better. I kind of separated everything into things that I was selling right here, I'm going to try to sell, and then things I'm donating and just getting rid of. The other thing that I can do to kind of help the floor situation is go ahead and go through all of the shoes. So that is my next step. Two bins are ones from upstairs. They were the ones that, we've already done a huge extreme declutter of the playroom upstairs, but after the fact, when I was decluttering more of the girls' stuff, I started thinking about it, and I realized that, these magnets right here, they played with them so well when we first got them, but in all actuality, I haven't seen them play with them in a while. And then on top of that, I have one kid who likes to try to tear these open and get the little magnets out from the inside of this because he has a magnetic kit right here that he loves to play with. But I'm not okay with him ripping them apart, and we've, gone over that a few times, and thankfully he hasn't done it in a while. But the fact that he still could is still there. So I think with all of the factors of the above, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of them because, again, I haven't seen them play with them in a long time anyway. So I think that that's where, it's okay to just let them go. It makes room for more toys or different toys, or really when they have less toys, they actually play a lot better. So when they're less toys, more organized, and the newness of some of them has worn off and they have enjoyed them for a time, I'm grateful for that time. But now it's time to let them go. So we're gonna go ahead and pour all of these into one of these bags because I am going to take them to consignment, and that way if somebody else wishes to buy them, then they're welcome to. And then this bin, I am gonna keep his magnetic set because he loves playing with magnets. So I'm keeping that. But this bin, I need to go through it because there's a couple of things in here. One is this set right here where it's kind of like the stems electricity set, and he still will play with that one, but these pieces right here, I think it's time to let them go because I haven't seen him build anything with these in a while. Same thing with the magnetic set. He loved these when we first got them. He played with them really well. He built an entire massive Ferris wheel that was like a foot or maybe like a foot and a half tall. That was really cool because it actually was functioning. It rotated electrically. It was really neat. But I haven't seen him do anything like that in a while. So I think it's time to go ahead and move on from these and maybe try something new in the future. See if I can do this without spilling them all over the ground. And just like that, I have cleared a bin, which is perfect. And one of the reasons why I wanted to clear these was because, again, moving all this stuff upstairs, I need space for some of the younger girls' toys too. So right now we have like a kitchen bin as well as like a little figurines bin so that it's easier to find them than in here. When little figurines get tucked away in there, and that's kind of a tip for all of you guys organizing. If you have kits or little girls or little boys that have a bunch of little figurines, instead of having them just thrown into a big toy bin where they get separated and lost, you can have them in a separate little bin, and that's worked really well for us. So that's what one of these is going to become, and then the other one is going to become the kitchen bin. right, so we got the toy bin finished, we got the shoes done. I cleaned up the area a little bit so that I could walk around. So my plan now is to work on this whole shelving area. And this right here is our cooking bin where we keep all of like the toy food and pots and pans and all of that. So I'm gonna go through and try to weed some of this out because we don't need to keep all of this. They don't use this as much when there's so much in there. So when I can weed it down a little bit, they actually play with it a lot better. So I'm gonna go through here and whatever we decide to keep, I'm putting in this bin to be then transitioned upstairs. The stripe bins are the ones that I had in the playroom upstairs that we cleaned out and now are moving and transitioning the toys from the gray bins downstairs into the stripe bins so that I can put them in another cubby shelving unit upstairs. Now, the gray bins, this is one of those things where you spent money on it. I actually still like these bins. They're really cute, but they weren't working for the space. They never actually fit in the cubbies very well. I used to have them in the girls' closet, and it would be easy for me to say, oh, I need to keep this because I spent money on it and I still like it. But in all fairness, in all actuality, I don't need them. I don't have a space for them. I don't have already something in mind that I could use them for. So ultimately, by me keeping it, I'm just continuing to add clutter and keep the clutter. Whereas knowing that if I came up with a space that needed a cubby or needed a bin of some sort to organize, then I would need to maybe go out and buy another one. So this is one of those moments where I'm choosing to let go of the bin, even though it has served me well, I've enjoyed it, and I spent money on it, but now I don't have a place for it currently, and I no longer need it because all the items that we have are already being occupied in other bins of other sorts. So I'm going to go ahead and let them go. And it's okay to let those items go, especially the organizational things that you've spent money on. Just let them go. You don't need them anymore. Right about now is when decision fatigue sets in. I have gone through a lot of items. I know we have at least passed 500 items, if not a lot more than that, just because there were so many pieces to all the different things and trying to match and gather all the pieces so that I can, when I donate them, they're together, or when I go to sell them, they're together. And then the pieces that, again, trying to decide like for here, what all little pieces that they want to keep, what they actually play with, all of those things, which again, it's a lot of work right now, but I have to remind myself that after doing this, it feels so much better. And from the day to day, it's so much easier to clean everything up. It's easier for them to clean everything up, and they play so much better with all of it. And then I can say, all right, you played with this, put it away. Whereas when there's so many toys, they don't know where to start cleaning themselves. Like it's become an issue. So by doing this, it makes life so much easier as we go. So I'm going to push through the decision fatigue and try to keep going while I still have a few minutes with no kids here. These bins right here, I know exactly what's in them. These are all blocks. And then this one is a different type of block, which they don't play with at all anymore. I think I've only ever seen them really play with these twice. So these are definitely going to be going away right here. If I can get the bin back in. These bins have seen better days. And then these right here, I was debating keeping them, but I think all of my kids are pretty much past this wanting to play with these. So I think these are going to go away as well. I'm recording this voiceover about a week after I decluttered this entire room, and guys, it was so worth it. It was worth the decision fatigue. It was worth being tired, and it would totally be worth it to give yourself the gift of working a little extra hard one day just so that you can enjoy the peace that comes with having a lot less clutter, a lot less stuff to deal with. And I'm very grateful that we did it. I did end up deciding to actually keep the blue table and chairs for now. I mean, I could end up changing my mind later, but for now, because we decluttered so much out of this room, I kind of gave it a trial test just to see how it would do within the past week or so, to see if it would end up just being a catch-all again, a clutter catcher. But the girls have actually been both sitting at the table multiple times. I've seen them in the past week, sit at the table, whether it's to color or play with toys or whatever it may be. They've really enjoyed it. And that's exactly what I wanted the table for and what I intended it for. So we will, again, time will tell. We will continue to keep the table for now and see how they do with keeping it clean. I'm slowly moving stuff upstairs. I didn't end up moving everything upstairs right away, but I have moved a lot upstairs. So it's definitely looking a lot better. The cubbies are pretty much almost empty for the most part, but I am keeping a few things down here just because I still do have a little one, and I actually enjoy having the kids play in the same room as me. I don't enjoy all of the toys and all of the clutter kind of drifting out into the main living areas and staying there all the time. But again, since we've decluttered so much, I haven't seen that happen near as much or near as often as I was seeing it. So it's so much more manageable for the kids to pick up. I can again say, all right, you played with this, go ahead and put it away. And it is a breath of fresh air. We have all really enjoyed being able to actually walk in our living room and in our playroom. I just want to take this time to say thank you so much for joining me here today at Autumnly at Home. It truly is a blessing that you're taking time out of your day to join me. Today was one of those huge declutter days where I am exhausted. I am mentally fatigued when it comes to decision making. But I do want to say how much I'm grateful that I have taken the time to do this. I will put the number across the screen right now that shows you how much we truly decluttered, and that is astonishing. That is a crazy number that we've gotten rid of so much stuff, and I'm hoping that this allows my kids to play that much better. I will also put videos of like the before and after of the downstairs, as well as the upstairs, and what the downstairs looks like once we move everything upstairs. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and please like, subscribe, and share. I will also put a playlist right here that you are welcome to go watch while you wait for my next upload. I upload every Friday at 5 o'clock, and we are currently going through a extreme home declutter series where I'm picking one closet, one room a week, and very deep decluttering, hardcore, going through every item, trying to decide whether we are keeping or getting rid of. And it is definitely a breath of fresh air, the rooms that we have already done. So I'm grateful that I'm taking the time to do that. But again, thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you guys next time.